What up? What up? This Mr. T at Mr. T Do Numbers. All right, coming at you with a lesson, quick lesson. I'm just gonna show you how to write decimals in different ways, right? This will help you with your fluency, right? Being able to translate from one form of that decimal to another form of that decimal, right? So what I'm gonna do here is real simple. I'm gonna take one decimal. I'm gonna show it to you in standard form, in expanded form, in expanded notation, in words and numerals, and in word form, right? The same decimal, right? And you have to be able to translate, right? Because some problems will say it in one form and then ask you for the other form, right? How is this number that they give you in standard? How is this expressed in expanded notation, right? If you're in 5th grade, things like that. Or they'll say a bank wrote a check for such and such dollars and such cent, right? And it'll be in word form, and it says, now what is this number wrote in expanded notation? So you gotta go from word form to maybe standard, and then go from standard to expanded notation because it's just easier, right? So basically with this example, you are going to be able to go from one form to the other, right? So let me start out with, I'm gonna take an easy decimal, right? Let's say 2 and 345 thousandths, right? So in standard form, that's a 2 in the ones place, decimal point, a 3 in the tenths, a 4 in the hundredths place, and a 5 in the thousandths place, right? This is how that number looks. 2 and 345 thousandths, right? That's the standard form, right? I tell my students, standard means normal. If you buy a car and it got all standard features, you're gonna have regular seats, you're gonna have no sunroof, you might have to roll the window down like that, right? Standard means the normal way, right? This is just the regular normal number, right? Now, let's get into expanded form, all right? Expand something means to stretch it out. So in expanded form, you are just writing that number the same way, but you are separating by place value. So in expanded form, this number is 2 ones, which is 2, plus 3 tenths, which is 0 and 3 tenths, plus 4 hundredths, which is 0 and 4 hundredths, plus 5 thousandths, which is 0 and 5 thousandths, right? Expanded form just simply means to just stretch it out and separate it by place value, right? And you put in plus signs in between, right? Now, if you were to collapse the expanded form, if you was to collapse the numbers, then you just add everything back up. 2 plus 3 tenths is 2 and 3 tenths, plus 4 hundredths, plus 5 thousandths will give you the standard form number. So if you collapse the expanded form and you collapse it back together, you get the standard form, right? If you collapse the expanded form, you get the standard form. All right, so that's just normal expanded form, right? You also have an upgraded version, which is expanded notation. So you'll still get the expanded part, you'll still stretch it out, but it's the word notation that makes it different, right? And I want you to know that notation simply means number times the spot that it's in. Number times the spot. Right? When I say spot, I mean the place value spot. So in parentheses, you are going to expand the number again, but in parentheses, you're going to write the number times the spot. Number times the spot. Number times the spot. Number times the spot. All right? So, in parentheses, you have 2 times the spot of 1. So 2 times 1. Plus 3 times tenths. Remember, notation means number times spot. So 3 times the tenths place, right? 3 times 1/10. Plus 4 times hundredths. Just 4 times 0.01. Right? Basically putting a 1 in the hundredths place. Plus 5 times 1,000th, which is basically putting a 1 in the thousandths place. All right? So this is expanded notation. I'm still stretching it out, but instead of just putting it by each value, I'm going to stretch it out and put number times the spot. All right? Now, there's 2 ways to do expanded notation. This is the decimal form, where the place value spots end up being decimals. Right? Of course, it doesn't affect the whole numbers because the whole number is whole. There's also a fraction form of expanded notation. Right? And what I want you to remember is fractions and decimals are the same thing. It's just in different language, right? This is manos and this is also hand. One is in English, one is in Spanish, right? But it's the same thing. It's the same body part, right? So when you get to the decimal place value spots, for the next example, I'm going to have the fraction version of it, right? So it does not affect the whole number. So it's still 2 times 1, because that 2 is in the 1 spot, which is on the whole number side. Now, instead of 3 times 1/10 as a decimal, I'm going to do 3 times 1/10 as a fraction. But it's important that you realize that 1/10 is the same thing as putting a 1 in the tenths place, which is right behind the decimal point. 1/10 and 1/10, these are the same value. It's just one is in decimal form, one is in fraction. All right? Plus, this is a 1 in the hundredths place, so it's 4 times 100, but in fraction form. Right? And last but not least, 5 times 1,000. Because instead of putting a 1 in the thousand spot, which is 3 places to the right, I'm just going to put 1 over 1,000. Both of these are 1,000. Right? So this is the decimal form of expanded notation, and this is the fraction form of expanded notation. But both of them are expanding, which is stretching the number out, and they are both doing number times the place value spot that it's in. All right? Couple more forms and we'll be done. Now this one is rarely used, but I have seen it on a couple of tests. This is words and numerals, which means that the word is the place value spot and the number is how many of them you have. So it's a mixture of words and numbers together. So this is 2 and 345 thousandths. So in words and numbers, the number 2, decimal point means the word and, $345,000 All it is nothing fancy. It's just a combination of words and numbers, right? And is the decimal point. The 2 is in front of it, so the number 2 is in front of it. 345 and the spot of the last digit is the thousandths place. All right. Excuse me for the glare from my light, but this is the 2. 2 and 345 thousandths. All right. That's words and numerals. Like I said, it's rarely seen, but I have saw it in 5th grade on snapshots and things like that. All right. And last but not least is word form. Right. So if you know standard form and you put it in numbers, word form is the same thing but put in words. So what's important, as always, is the decimals. So the decimal point is important because the decimal point means and, which means whatever's in front of the decimal point is in front of the word and. So if 2 is in front of the decimal point, then that means 2 is in front of the word and. Right? So far you have 2 and. Now behind the decimal point, you have 345, and the spot of the last number is the thousandths place. So it's 2 and 340 / 5 thousandths. Again, decimal point is where it's at. The decimal point means and. In front of the decimal point, 2. Behind the decimal point, 345, and the 5 stops in the thousandths place. 345 thousandths. All right. Again, this is Mr. Traham. This is a lesson on fluency. Can you change this same decimal in different ways? This is 5 different ways, 6 if you count this, to show the same decimal. This is fluency. You got to be able to translate between one form to the next, especially if you're going to solve some problems. All right. Thank you for checking out my video. This is writing decimals in different ways. Peace.